Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Drums and Drams. My name's Cameron, and we are live for just a kind of a funny little video I thought that I would do here about a topic that we've been talking about over on Facebook, over in the secondary pages, both with dealing with the actual sales of these bottles, and then also people talking talking crap about this more or less in side groups, related to those secondary pages. So this is kind of a funny one. It's also not that funny in some ways. It's kind of a shame and doesn't feel great, if I'm being honest. And so we're gonna get into it right here. Let me know in the live chat if you guys have kind of seen anything about this in the comment section after the fact. And listen, I do have a live stream later tonight. We've got a live stream in about 2 hours, but I didn't really want to talk about this like on the live stream. I mean, we might touch on it a little bit, but I thought it'd be nice to just do a separate little video a la the C923 laser codes from about, 15 months ago, whenever that was. So let's talk about what is going on here. So there was a listing, or maybe a couple listings on secondary pages for an 11-year or 11-plus year single barrel store pick of Old Forester Blue Label. Now these picks are typically like sub 5 years old, something like that. I mean, they're really young. And I think when you guys are funny in the chat, I think when people begged Old Forester to bring these out at barrel strength, when we already had the 90 proof, 100 proof black labels, I don't think anybody wanted these at barrel strength sub 5 years old. I think we probably wanted something a little more mature, right? And so when I saw this pop up on secondary, I was like, what is going on here? 11-year Old Forester store pick. Like, that sounds pretty crazy to me. But listen, stranger things have happened, right? Like, certain big accounts or, different groups or charities or whatever can get their hands on crazy barrels from different companies. Like, for instance, there was a charity barrel of 20-year Knob Creek, right? No one else has done a 20-year Knob Creek pick, at least to my knowledge. And this charity was able to get a 20-year barrel. That's really cool. And there are probably other instances across the industry and over the last however many years of people being able to get their hands on, on older stuff in a pick program that usually is not dealing with stuff that age. I mean, if you look back to Old Russell's reserve picks, I'm pretty sure they were like 13-year picks to certain groups here and there that are like the stuff of legend now. I think 13, maybe 14, but I think definitely 13. And nowadays we see like 8 and 9-year picks from the Russell's pick program. So all that to say, Old Forester, typically you're looking at like 4.5 years old, up to 5 years. I think there's been maybe some 6-year picks as well. But Astor, on their website, Astor Wine and Spirits, which is based out of New York City. It's not a company I know anything about, really. So I'm going to do my best to not ascribe, motive or whatever in this video. But they advertise this on their site. So let me show you guys this. All right. I'll throw it up like this. So you can see here, like, this was the listing on their site, and this is a screenshot from somebody else. And it even says here in the middle of that paragraph, originally distilled and barreled on May 20th of 2013. This spirit aged for over 11 years on the 7th floor of Warehouse I. Bottled at a supreme, 64.4%. So they're saying right here in this listing that we're dealing with an 11-year pick. It's advertised as such. And so this was cited in all these secondary sales. And so me, when I saw it on the secondary market, I was like, there's a 5% chance this is true. And there's a 95% chance I'm going to get fleeced by this, but it's okay because I'll roll the dice on this and see what's up, because at the end of the day, it's kind of funny regardless. Now, separating yourself from $250 or whatever these things were going for, that's not as funny, but in the name of the gamble, let's say, it was funny for me. Sam in the chat says, I think it's fair to say Astor is the first or second biggest store in New York, especially for a single barrel program. All right, so keep that in mind, guys. And don't hold me to that. That's what Sam said. So anyways, I ended up buying one of these, right? And it's been in transit, for a hand delivery over the last 2 or 3 days, and I was excited to get my hands on it and try it. Now, in the meantime, some more information came out about it. Let me throw this last bit up here on the screen. It's going to be this one. So here we get a little bit more information on this in the middle paragraph here. It says, in a world where their annual release of birthday bourbon remains prohibitively allocated and expensive, trading at over $1,000 per bottle in most cases, it's kind of funny that they're talking about secondary in this, but we couldn't believe that we were able to get our hands on what is essentially our own single barrel of birthday bourbon. That's a pretty bold claim. At least as we are calling it, with 11 and a half years of aging and just a hair shy of the typical 12 years for birthday bourbon, and bottled at this incredibly impressive full 128.8 proof. This is an unmissable release. So, getting some good marketing going there with the fact that this is, at least, they're claiming to be an 11-year pick. So what we're going to do today, is I'm going to show you one more graphic here in just a second, but I want to taste this. I want to taste this whiskey. So what I've done is I've cracked this open. I've got it poured out at barrel proof. I've got it actually poured out here in proof down, and I'll tell you why. Because I have a sample of President's Choice, an 11-year President's Choice, which is exactly what we would be talking about. This is 113.5 proof, barrel 69. So I tried to proof that down to about 115 if I could. And then finally, I've got this 2018 employee bottle, which, again, it's another one of these rumor mill things where people say, oh, it's 2018 birthday bourbon, bottled at barrel proof or bottled at 125. I don't know if any of that's true. It probably is not true, but it is a really, really good bottle. Like, it's President's Choice or better quality in here. And so those things should compare well to what is supposedly an 11-year bourbon, which, again, would be like the first and only time this has happened in the pick program, to my knowledge, besides the couple barrels of President's Choice that have gone out to private groups, that's a new thing, and it's few and far between. This is kind of in the spirit, obviously, of the laser coat thing. It's just funny. The laser coat thing was never meant to be that way. This is a little bit, like as Jeffrey Wax says, stir, pot, stir. I think the pot deserves to be stirred on this one. So anyways, let me taste this, smell it, taste it real quick at barrel proof. So big cinnamon notes in this, very, very spicy. Lots of ethanol. Does have a nice kind of dry, dark fruit profile to it. And honestly, like, it's not a banana bomb to me. It's got some more going on in here. So this is by no means an off-putting nose for a whiskey, or for one of these single barrels especially, which are traditionally not my favorite. It's very dry. That's how many of these picks are. And there's no evidence on the palate, right, that this is any older than a typical Old Forester pick. So if I tasted this blind, in no way, and obviously I'm not tasting it blind, you could say that this is just, that I can't prove this, but in no way would I ever imagine that tasting this whiskey, it's an 11-year product. I would never, ever, ever think that. Yeah, I don't think there's any way to mistake this for something older. And so, to that point, I'm just going to smell the Old Forester President's Choice, right? And right away, it's like brown sugar. It's deep and rich, super sweet. Now, it is a lower proof, so it's lacking in that ethanol, lacking in that heat. But just fundamentally speaking, smelling the President's Choice next to this pick, which now smells like raw, like lumber, and it's very sawdusty, and yeah, it's got that like very youthful oak note, and the ethanol comes out even more. There's absolutely no way in my mind that anybody that's picked single barrels before could, even if they were told that that's 11 years old, that they could say that that's 11 years old. It doesn't make any sense to me. So with that said, though, let's go into the proof down version. Proof down, I get a little bit more fruit, less of that like raw wood character, but still like tons of youth. President's Choice is so sweet, so oaky, rich, layered. It's got a lot of depth to it. And finally, you go over to the employee bottle, which we don't really know anything about. And this is like the President's Choice dialed up. It's somewhere between that and a King of Kentucky is what you have in this bottle. So to me, like, this is the thing. If you're Astor and you pick this and you made a mistake, which we're going to talk about right now, I'm going to show you the final graphic. Even if someone told you that this was 11 years old, or you made some assumption, I don't feel like if you have even a marginal amount of experience in the industry that you could say that this is 11 years old after you smell and taste it. So here you go. Here's the final thing I'm going to show. I took the guy's name out of the email, but he works for Astor. This made its rounds here. And it says, this was a sincerely honest mistake caused by the confusion in how the brand uses a code to identify the barrel entry dates. For these single barrels, the way it was written for this barrel was 20 enero, which means January in Spanish, 13, which we read as May 20th, 2013. That makes no, I don't even know what that means. Why did you get May out of that? Enero means January. Just like, that's just a funny, weird detail to this whole thing. So they thought it was 11 years, 7 months. Sadly, it's in fact meant to be read backwards, making it 4 years, 5 months old. We were surprised, too, that we had a barrel of that age, but absolutely had no intention of misrepresenting what the true age of the whiskey was. We have no incentive to do that. That's a lie. I mean, that's just like a dumb thing to say. Like, anybody running a store has an incentive to say that. Whether or not you did it for that reason, you have an incentive. I mean, come on. Would only cause unnecessary headaches, and it has, for people that got fleeced on the secondary market. And that's not the store's fault, but the store did sell out of these very fast, it seems like, because they said it was 11 years old. It is also important to note that what we charged for the barrel was not affected by our perceived age of the whiskey, which good on them. It would have been the same no matter what, and the only reason it was slightly higher than the last barrel we did was because the price increase, which would be like basically the wholesale price from Brown-Forman. We love the whiskey. Maybe part of the reason it shows as mature in profile, it doesn't, is due to the fact that it's a 7th floor pick. It doesn't show that way. We value the trust of our customers. Well, you lost a lot of it, and I'm saying that more than anything, and feel our reputation is firmly built on that. So I hope this explanation is understood. I mean, what do you guys think about this? Like, I listen. Like, you can't say that it was intentional, and I would not say that. But at best, this is ignorant and lazy. At best, because anybody picking this barrel can taste this and know what's up. And also, you should absolutely confirm, if you're going to advertise 11 and a half years or 11, 7 months, you should email Brown-Forman 3 times and confirm that before you start saying that stuff. Because anybody that bought this thinking that it was something like as was advertised, if they thought that, that's the reason they bought this. Because these things sit on shelves nowadays. Because they're lackluster, most of them. They're super young whiskey. And so there would be a motive if you did that intentionally. Let's not act like there wouldn't be, even though I'm not saying that is the case. And it is entirely the reason this barrel sold out. So where do they go from here? I don't know. I don't know how their business is run. I don't know if they offer refunds or they do this or that. The people that got taken on secondary, actually what's kind of cool about that, even though there are definite like mega flippers on secondary, people are offering like partial refunds, and they don't need to do that. But some of them did represent this whole story in their listings for these, and they had these screenshots going on. So I do think that's the right thing to do. I'm not, like, I expected this to happen when I bought this. I'm not upset about it on my end. Like, it's just part of the fun of the channel and the gamble that I took. And I would never ask the person that sold me this bottle for a refund, because I knew. I was like, this is a crock. And it turned out to be. So Sam says, they've been around too long to claim negligence, especially after advertising it as such. I agree. Like, I mean, they can still claim it. And again, ignorant at best in my mind. I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything, but you know, yeah, it's a product that sits on the shelf. And one more time, it's not a bad pick. Like, as far as these picks go, if it was $80, I don't know what it was. I don't know what they charge for it. But around here, it's about $80 if we get them in the state of Ohio. I think that's at SRP. If I tasted this ahead of time, I would think about picking this up. This is not a bad pick by any means. And that's where it stops. That's the maximum I would think about and or pay for this pick. I would not be thinking like, wow, I wonder if that's 11 years old. Or if someone goes, hey, man, that's 11 years old. I'd be like, I don't believe you. It's just funny. It's just a funny thing to me. And it's another one of those quirky things that happens. Plenty of this stuff does go on, you know, like just all these like dramatic stories and stuff. And I tend not to wade into them too much anymore after the laser code debacle, although I still have some Russell's 10 laser codes to get into. That will happen on the channel. But this was one that was pretty cut and dry. And it's pretty much like, hey, you guys got to do a little better than this, Astor. This is not cool on the part of your consumers. So there we go. I'm going to check the chat one more time. I'm going to jump off here. And I will see everybody in about an hour and 40 for the live stream. And the live stream tonight is going to be great. Calumet 17, Night Stalker 4 from the Junkies. Excuse me, I've got a ton of samples to get into and 2 blind flights. It's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. I know I'm up against the draft tonight, but we're going to be live for a while. I don't have an early morning tomorrow, which is great. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Hit your like on the way in and on the way out if you're catching the replay. Thank you guys for tuning in live. Gotta get some more eyeballs back on the channel as things come back and start ramping up a little bit. So that was a little bit the purpose for this. But at the same time, it's good to talk about it. And I shelled out $250, so I think I deserve to make a 15-minute live video about this topic. Cut my losses and move on. Cheers, guys, and I'll see many of you tonight, a little bit later on the live stream.